Well, after food prices increased in the past year, consumers could soon see food inflation begin to drop rather significantly. The price of milk, maize meal, cereals, bread and cooking oil all expected to be cooling at the moment, but vegetable and meat prices are still stubborn, according to a great piece, in fact, put together by the team at News 24. Let's talk more about this now with Mervyn from the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. Mervyn, if these predictions or expectations are true, it would be great news, would it not, for the average South African household?
So good evening, and good evening to all the viewers. Yes, of course, if food inflation begins to come down and we're seeing a slight decrease of food prices during the month of June, then of course it would allow households to access more food. It would also help them in a way to manage some of the other household expenditures, like the increased electricity that we will be facing during this coming month in July, as well as other municipal services. So we have to see food prices coming down. But having said that, in our household food basket, which tracks 44 very basic foods that most households consume on a monthly basis, we have seen a decline of around 15 Rand in the cost of that basket, bringing that basket now down to 5,056 Rand. The worrying trend is that whilst we've seen some vegetables coming down, like tomatoes and spinach, and we've seen maize meal coming down, some of the other core foods, the core foods that households prioritize, such as maize meal and rice and onions and potatoes and chicken and sugar, those prices are still staying stubbornly high. And until those prices, the core food prices, begin to drop, only then will households in a way begin to feel that the food price inflation is beginning to come down.
And could it be that we may not even see these significant increases, because even in the News 24 piece, which I referenced at the beginning, one of the warnings from a commentator is that many of the businesses involved in the production or aspects of the production of these products are still absorbing, for example, high fuel costs. Some of them are having to pay a bit more to run generators because of load shedding. So that too may take away from the potential saving for you and I.
Yes, exactly. And so what we've seen is a peculiar situation in the South African food system. So we've seen global commodity prices come down now over the last 6 months. We have also seen fuel prices coming down. We have also seen a very good harvest of things like maize and sunflower, etc. in South Africa, which all should mean food prices coming down. But however, in our context, load shedding has been a spanner in the works, actually. And has meant that input cost in terms of keeping the electricity going has increased for most producers, and that is unfortunately keeping prices high.
And what have you noticed, Mervyn, as far as what households are doing to survive? Because this didn't start yesterday. In fact, it's been going on for at least a year and a half, where we've seen this increasing pressure at the till.
So really, when we look at our household affordability index, then the month of June is the first time since October of last year that we are beginning to see a downward trend. So for the past 8 months, it's been increasing month after month after month. So households are in fact battling. What we are noticing is that households are eating less food because they cannot afford. You know, when the basket of food for a household is over 5,000 Rand, and the national minimum wage is 4,500 Rand, then we can see the disproportion. So what actually is that households are eating less food. And even though the prices are coming down, electricity is a major input cost into cooking. You know, if we're going to have a stew, I mean, potatoes need to be cooked, chicken needs to be cooked, onions needs to be cooked. Now, with an 18% electricity increase, what we would likely see is that increase of electricity tariffs will take money away from the food budget And even though the prices are coming down, we could in fact see a deepening of household food insecurity as we enter into this new regime of increased electricity tariffs.
The worry that I'm picking up then, Mervyn, from that is that we may in fact see a worsening hunger problem in the country where people earn so little that they simply, as you were saying, you're starting to see people eating less or simply not eating at all.
Yes, exactly. And so we have seen that. That trend has become extremely clear over the last 18 months, in that households, instead of eating 3 meals a day, are by and large in the working class and low income areas eating 1 meal a day. And the worrying trend is that that meal is mainly made up of starches. So like maize meal and sugar and perhaps bread, etc., which helps in terms of filling you up and you feel like you've had a meal, but from a nutritional aspect, particularly for our children, it is insufficient. It's not sufficiently nutritious. And that contributes to various kind of diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, child stunting, etc. And already in South Africa, we have about 25% of all our children under the age of 5 are stunted. And that's a direct consequence of not having sufficient nutrition in terms of the eating patterns.
Mervyn Abrahams from the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. Thank you for your time as always.